First off, I want to say Happy July, everybody. We made it across the halfway point of the year of 2025. Some crazy stuff has been going on around the four major sports, but Miles Turner going to the Bucks? That was very weird. And also, Damian Lillard got waived. Twice as weird. But to top it all, Dolphins actually did get their tight end, even though he already retired at one point. And they traded for Darren Waller. So Miami sent a 2026 conditional 6th round pick to the Giants for their 2027 7th round pick and Darren Waller. Obviously, when he was on the Raiders, he actually turned into a very solid tight end. Did not have a great year with the Giants, and then he decided to retire, but now he's back. If he comes close to what John Smith was last year in Miami, maybe the Dolphins could do something in the AFC East. Enough chit chat, let's get to the video. Welcome back to Grizzly Talks Football. I'm the Grizz, and we got NFC North standing predictions for 2025. Probably going to be one of the most difficult divisions to decide who's going to be on top and who's going to be right at the bottom. If you are still looking for the entire season, I'll make sure to leave that link to the playlist in the description. You can also look at playlists, and you can see the Grizzly Talks Football Season 2 playlist over there. You'll have it for every single episode, so you can catch up for Season 2. You'll also have it for future episodes as we go by. Don't forget to hit the red subscribe button right down there. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single one of my videos. Without further delay, let's get to some NFC North standard predictions. You know the drill. We're going by alphabetical order in cities. So first up is the Obviously, the Bears are starting with 2 divisional games. One on Monday night against the Minnesota Vikings, and another on the road against the Detroit Lions. Then they go back home to play the Dallas Cowboys. Then they go on the road to Vegas to play the Raiders. Then they go to their bye week. And then they have road tests against Washington, Baltimore, and Cincinnati, and a home game against the Saints. Then in week 10, they play the Giants at home. Then they have a road game against Minnesota. Then a home game against the Steelers, road games against the Eagles and Packers. Then they go back home to play the Browns and Packers again. Then they go on the road to play the Niners, and then back home to play Detroit in the final game of the year. They play the Commanders on Monday night, they play the Eagles on Friday night, and they play the Niners on Sunday night. And also, you got a Saturday game as well on December 20th. That's against the Green Bay Packers the second time. Some of the games are already filled in, I do understand that, but kicking off week 1, this is going to be a reality check to see which one of these 2 teams is going to thrive. As far as which quarterback is going to thrive, I think Caleb Williams is going to get the best of J.J. McCarthy in week 1. Then they'll lose on the road against Detroit. They'll get a win over the Raiders to go 3-1 heading to the bye week. Then they lose to the Commanders week 6 again. They beat the Saints. Against the Ravens, it's a tough game. They're going to lose that one. Bears against the Bengals. Bears defense is great. Bengals is not. I think the Bengals are going to lose this game in a shootout. So heading to the halfway point, I see them going 5-3. Then in week 10, they get a big win over the New York Giants. I think Chicago is actually going to beat Minnesota again in week 11. Week 12, nah, I'm just kidding. Minnesota does win. Week 12, Bears win again against the Steelers. They're going to lose to the reigning Super Bowl champs in Week 13. Against Lambeau, I don't think the same thing's going to happen twice. They're going to lose that game. They're going to beat the Browns. They're actually going to beat the Packers in Soldier Field. Against the Niners, I think the 49ers will be banged up again, so 49ers will lose this game at home against the Bears. And then, against Detroit, I think Detroit will win enough games to where the playoff spot is locked, so they'll rest their starters, which gives the opportunity for the Bears to win that game. So in the sophomore season of Caleb Williams, I predict they are going to go 11-6. One thing the Bears needed to improve on was the offensive line to give Caleb Williams more time, as he was the most sacked quarterback in the league and one of the most sacked in NFL history. They definitely did that in free agency, along with getting Grady Jarrett. Their offensive line players are Jonah Jackson, Joe Thuney, and Drew Dolman. It could really be a good year for Chicago. Up next, we got the Detroit Lions. A very interesting slate we got here, starting with a road game against Green Bay on Sunday. Then they go back home to play Chicago, go back on the road to play Baltimore, then go back home to play Cleveland, then have road games against the Bengals and Chiefs, have a home game against Tampa Bay, head to the bye week, and then after that, they play the Vikings at home. Of course, with 2 Monday Nighters against the Ravens and Bucks, and a Sunday Nighter against the Chiefs. Then in Week 10, they play the Washington Commanders. Then they go to the Eagles in Week 11, go home for 3 straight games against the Giants, Packers, and Cowboys. Then they go back on the road to play the Rams, go back home to play the Steelers. Their final 2 games are road games against the Vikings and Bears. In the second half of the season, they actually have a Sunday Nighter against Philly, and then 3 Thursday night games, which include a Thanksgiving game against Green Bay, which is actually at 1 Eastern. Oh yeah, and you can't also forget about the Christmas Day game against the Minnesota Vikings. So in this season, I think they will get a road win against the Packers. They'll get a home win against the Bears. Against the Ravens, it's going to be a very tough team to go against. I think the Ravens will win that game. Browns are an easy dub, unfortunately. Against the Bengals, I think the Lions will have a little bit more turnovers, but they'll still win the ball game. Against the Chiefs, I gotta say, I think Detroit's going to win on the road. Then coming off the bye after losing to Tampa Bay, they actually get a bounce-back win against the Vikings. Then in Week 10 against the Commanders, I think they actually win on the road. Then they lose to the Super Bowl champion Eagles. Home games against Giants, Packers, and Cowboys, they will win all 3. Against the Rams, they're going to be a very tough team to go against, but I think the Lions still get the win over Matthew Stafford, their former quarterback. They'll beat the Steelers, and they'll actually lose their final 2 home road games against the Vikings and Bears. This team won't be as scary as last year, because both of their coordinators went to different jobs. But they will still be 12-5 this upcoming season, in my opinion. They'll go 4-2 against the division. They'll actually collapse in the final 2 games of the season. We'll just have to see if that will be the difference between winning the division or not. Probably not, though. Still have Jared Goff, still have that great running back duo, Aiden Hutchinson coming back, Amon-Ra St. Brown, J-Mo Williams, Sam Laporta. They just got so many studs on their team, and it makes it that more difficult to bet against them. Next up, we got the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, as I said before, they have 2 home games to start the season. They actually have the home game against Detroit, like I mentioned before. Home game against the Commanders on Thursday night. Then they got road games against the Browns and Cowboys. Then they head to their bye week. After that, it's a home game against the Bengals, then road games against the Cardinals and Steelers, and a home game against Carolina. In addition to the Thursday Nighter against Washington, they also got Sunday Nighters against the Steelers and Cowboys. Of course, Aaron Rodgers' revenge game, of course. Then in Week 10, they actually play the Eagles at home. Then they go to the road to play the Giants. Then back home to play the Vikings. Back on the road to play Detroit, home game against Chicago. Then road games against the Broncos and Bears. Home game against the Ravens, and a road game against the Vikings again. This season is going to be very interesting. Yeah, I do have Packers splitting the first two home games. They do win both against the Browns and Dallas, in my opinion. Against the Bengals, I actually see them dropping one at home in Lambeau. They will beat the Cardinals. Against the Steelers, I think Rodgers plays out of his mind to win that game. And then the Packers actually do beat Carolina. So heading into Week 10, they're actually going to be 5-3 again. But after Week 11 against the Eagles and Giants, they both win those games. But that's when the bad news starts to begin. They're actually going to get swept by Minnesota. They're going to lose to the Ravens. They're going to lose to the Broncos. They'll lose to the Lions again. They're actually going to split the games between Chicago, not only at Lambeau, but also at Soldier. So they'll split with Chicago. They'll actually lose against the Vikings and Lions. I don't think it'll be Jordan Love's fault. It was really just the fact that these guys have a fucking brutal schedule. Jesus! Anyways, they will go 8-9 this upcoming season. And they'll have a disgusting 1-5 division record, which is quite insane if you ask me. But let's be honest, the Packers' era of, make the playoffs and run the NFC North, it's long past them now. Jair Alexander is gone. Receiving corps still a little shaky at the moment. It's going to be a rough year for the Packers fans. And the final team of this division, we have the Minnesota Vikings. They actually kick off their season with a Monday Nighter against Chicago. Then I believe a Sunday nighter against the Falcons at home. Then they play the Bengals at home, then go on the road against the Steelers and Browns, head to their bye week, then play at home against the Super Bowl champs, then go back on the road to play the Chargers and Lions. And then at week 10, they play a home game against the Ravens, then a home game against Chicago, then they go back on the road to play the Packers and Seahawks, go back home to play the Commanders, then back on the road to play the Cowboys and Giants, then back home to play the Lions and Packers. This is really going to depend on the start that J.J. McCarthy has. You think he is going to lose to Chicago against Caleb Williams, but I feel like he will beat the Falcons at home on Sunday night. Then against the Bengals. Bengals don't have a defense. I think J.J. McCarthy will definitely win that game. Against the Steelers, I think they'll actually lose this one to Pittsburgh. But they'll also beat the Browns. Then off their bye week, they actually beat the reigning Super Bowl champs at home, but then lose to the Chargers and Lions on the road. So their record heading into week 10, again, it's 5-3. Actually, no, it's 4-4. Then week 10, a tough game against the Ravens. I think the Ravens will actually take that one. Vikings will actually beat Chicago and Green Bay. Then against the Seahawks, I mean, they have a good defense. The offense isn't going to be as effective, so I think they'll beat the Seahawks. Commanders, then they start going on an out of nowhere 8-game win streak to end the year, which is nuts. You can see it for yourself. I think it's crazy. And out of nowhere, winning the division, the Vikings will go 12-5. Obviously, due to tiebreakers, they would win against Detroit. What of the tiebreaker? Well, that would be conference percentage if you were asking. Kevin O'Connell has been a big QB whisperer. He helped Sam Darnold. He helped Kirk Cousins. I feel like he could do the same for JJ. But then again, we don't know. So this definitely could either be a really good thing for Minnesota or it could send them back for years. Getting rid of Sam Darnold might be a bit of a mistake in my opinion, but let's just see how it goes. I always put the screenshot of the standings of each division every single outro, so that'll do it for the NFC North scanning predictions for 2025. Good luck out there. That will also do it for this episode of Grizzly Talks Football. If you enjoyed, make sure you give this a big thumbs up. Hit the red subscribe button down there. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single one of my videos. This nigger is signing off for now. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace.